From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. At least 71 more Palestinians have been killed and 112 others injured over the last 24 hours as Israel continues its war on Gaza. According to the Palestinian Health Ministry, 15 were killed in an Israeli strike on a sports center, and injuries were reported in a bombing at Saad bin Abi Waqqas Mosque. Overnight attacks also killed 12 people from the same family in Rafah City, while 7 people were reported killed at the Maghazi refugee camp, which has endured relentless artillery shelling. Meanwhile, 125,000 worshippers attended Friday prayers at Al-Aqsa Mosque in the occupied East Jerusalem. Palestinian news agency Wafa reports that Israeli forces obstructed access by setting up barricades, and checkpoints were closed on roads from the West Bank. Additionally, Palestinian Christians from the West Bank have been barred from entering Jerusalem's Old City ahead of Easter. While some religious leaders were permitted entry, ceremonies were held without their usual congregations. Flouting the International Court of Justice's provisional ruling calling for an end to genocidal acts, Israel continues its onslaught on Gaza. Since October, Israeli attacks have killed 32,623 Palestinians in Gaza and wounded 75,092. Hamas's attacks in Israel killed 1,139 Israelis, with many still held as prisoners. Al Jazeera has released disturbing video footage revealing Israeli soldiers fatally shooting 2 Palestinians in northern Gaza. Despite one waving a white cloth, the soldiers fired with no apparent threat. The incident occurred near a recent World Central Kitchen food aid drop. The soldiers were filmed burying the bodies using a bulldozer. Al Jazeera's chief political analyst Marwan Bishara expressed disbelief, while Richard Falk, former UN rapporteur, condemned the incident. Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor has documented numerous similar executions since Israel's latest assaults began. The footage emerged shortly after a UN Security Council resolution for a Gaza ceasefire was issued on Monday, from which the US abstained. Experts are calling for urgent investigation by the International Criminal Court, or the ICC, and an end to impunity amid mounting worldwide condemnation. A Turkish pediatric surgeon volunteering in Gaza has appealed for urgent medical aid amid the crumbling health system due to Israeli strikes. Speaking to Anadolu News Agency, Dr. Taner Kamashi is emphasizing the dire need for healthcare workers and supplies due to the influx of severely injured victims. He says there was scarcity of expert support and medical materials, stressing the critical role of trauma surgeons and specialized nurses. Dr. Kamashi underscored the escalating healthcare crisis with inadequate aid reaching Gaza's overwhelmed hospitals. He has described the hospital as a refuge for displaced people, but noted the persistent threat of bombings. He says urgent global intervention is crucial to address Gaza's escalating emergency, where there are only 2 hospitals providing significant healthcare services in Gaza. Kamashi says there is bombings every day around his hospital, and daily nearly 100 people are brought to the emergency room. A funeral was held for Lebanese people killed in the airstrike of Israeli warplanes on the town of Al-Habariya in southern Lebanon. At least 9 people were killed and many others injured in Israeli airstrikes targeting 2 towns in southern Lebanon on Wednesday. This latest strike brings the civilian death toll to 57 since last October, state media reports. According to the national news agency, the Israeli airstrike also targeted a cafe in the town of Naqoura, killing 3 and injuring several others. The Israeli army says it carried out airstrikes on the towns of Naqoura and Dar Harfa. The bombardment came hours after the Lebanese Foreign Ministry said it has submitted 22 complaints to the United Nations Security Council against Israel since October. And in related news, the Lebanese Foreign Ministry said on Thursday it intends to file a complaint against Israel for its targeting of civilians and paramedics. The ministry says it has asked its permanent mission to the UN to file the complaint with the UN Security Council. The complaint relates to the Israeli army's killing of 18 Lebanese in southern Lebanon in Habariya, Baalbek, and Naqoura. All of those killed were civilians and paramedics. More than 300 people are estimated to have been killed in Lebanon, including at least 247 Hezbollah fighters since clashes erupted in October. Nearly 20 Israelis have been killed, according to Israeli figures. In a significant escalation, Israel launched its largest attack on Syria since October 7th with an airstrike in the Aleppo province, killing 42 people. According to the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, the strike targeted areas near Hezbollah's rocket depots, killing 36 Syrian soldiers and 6 Hezbollah members. The strike also caused injuries and extensive damage. Israel has not confirmed the attacks, but Syrian state media mentioned casualties amongst civilians and military personnel. Activists on the ground have revealed that Syrian soldiers and Hezbollah fighters were amongst the casualties. Israel's actions are seen as an attempt to expand escalation and send a message amid regional tensions. The strikes drew condemnation from Iran's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, calling them a violation of international law and Syrian sovereignty. Another State Department official resigns over the U.S.'s support for the Israel war on Gaza. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. A State Department official has resigned in protest of the Biden administration's support for Israel's actions in Gaza. Human rights officer Anel Shalin has cited the administration's enabling of atrocities as her reason for quitting. Shalin has criticized the U.S.'s stance, saying it erodes its credibility on human rights. The resignation is the second in recent months. It signals growing dissent within the State Department over the U.S. policy towards Israel's war on Gaza. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller acknowledged diverse views within the department, emphasizing Secretary of State Antony Blinken's openness to dissent. Shalin says across the federal government, employees like her have tried for months to influence policy. She has expressed hope her resignation may contribute to efforts to push the administration to withdraw support for Israel's war for the sake of 2 million Palestinians. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has directed universities in the state to address rising anti-Semitism linked to Israel's war on Gaza. In an executive order, he has asked the institutions to amend free speech policies within 90 days to punish anti-Semitic acts, including with expulsion. The order aligns with Texas's 2016 definition of anti-Semitism, adopting International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance guidelines. Phrases like, "from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free," are labeled anti-Semitic under the legislation. Pro-Palestine groups like Students for Justice in Palestine are likely targets under the new order. Abbott has cited anti-Semitic vandalism as a reason for the order. The Combat Anti-Semitism movement praised the order, while the Council on American Islamic Relations condemned it. CAIR says it suppresses free speech and equates criticism of Israel with anti-Semitism. The organization's executive chair, Mustafa Carroll, says advocacy for Palestinian rights alongside criticism of Israel cannot be considered inherently anti-Semitic acts. He says the order undermines academic freedom and perpetuates a harmful narrative. The Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, a non-profit civil liberties group, says anti-Semitism is a legitimate issue only if the speech has exceeded First Amendment protections. The White House has refuted Russian claims of U.S. or Ukrainian involvement in a March 22nd terrorist act on a Moscow concert hall. Gunmen killed 143 people and injured more than 360 at the Crocus City Hall, with ISIS claiming responsibility. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has dismissed Russia's accusations as nonsense and propaganda. He says the U.S. had issued a written warning to the Kremlin before the attack and had provided detailed information to Russia about the threat. Kirby attributes the attack to ISIS and has vowed to continued vigilance in sharing intelligence globally. Russian Security Services Chief Alexander Bortnikov has suggested a political motive behind the attack. He points to what he calls a Ukrainian trace, but has not provided concrete evidence. Former FTX CEO Samuel Bankman-Fried has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for his involvement in a fraud and conspiracy case. Bankman-Fried admitted responsibility during his trial in Manhattan federal court, acknowledging the impact of his actions. His actions led to the collapse of his cryptocurrency exchange platform and related hedge fund. Charges against him include wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. Despite Bankman-Fried's claim of no losses at FTX, Judge Lewis Kaplan has determined a total loss exceeding $550 million, and they ordered forfeiture of more than $11 billion. Although FTX has recovered over $7 billion in assets post-implosion, Bankman-Fried has been held accountable by a jury for about $10 billion in missing customer deposits. Amazon has made an additional $2.75 billion investment in artificial intelligence with the startup company Anthropic. The move has increased the US-based tech firm's total investment in Anthropic to $4 billion. Amazon announced earlier this month that Anthropic's Claude 3 family of models will be available on Amazon Bedrock. These have demonstrated advanced intelligence, near-human levels of responsiveness, improved steerability and accuracy, and new vision capabilities. Amazon says their inclusion will enhance the ability of customers of all sizes to rapidly test, build, and deploy generative AI applications across their organizations. A lawsuit is accusing Michigan's Jackson County Sheriff's Office of neglecting the needs of Muslim inmates during Ramadan. The suit filed by the Michigan chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations mentions the case of 34-year-old Marvin Owens. Owens went without pre-dawn and sunset meals for the first 3 days of Ramadan at the county jail, relying on his own food supply. When meals were provided, they were allegedly delayed by more than 2 hours after sunset and lacked adequate nutrients and calories. County officials blamed food service provider Tiggs Canteen Services for the issues. Despite acknowledging the delays, the county allegedly failed to address Owens' concerns. The lawsuit claims Owens was served inedible and inappropriate food, sometimes left unwrapped and unprotected. Executive Director of CARE Michigan, Dawood Walid, has criticized the sheriff's office for not ensuring proper arrangements during the Muslim month of fasting. He is urging immediate action to provide adequate meals for Owens and other fasting Muslim inmates. Ethiopia's capital, Addis Ababa, hosted a grand street iftar, attracting more than 80,000 people who broke the Ramadan fast together. The event saw Haji Ibrahim Tufa of the Ethiopian Muslim Affairs Supreme Council advocate for peace and unity against communal violence. Organizer Ustaz Abu Bakr Ahmed highlighted the dinner's role in building national solidarity and promoting inclusivity. It was held in the Abiat Square, which was once hosted only Orthodox Christianity Meskel celebrations, now hosts various religious gatherings. The event was managed by 1,700 volunteers and broadcasted live. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. Muslim Network TV invites you to join us for our Ramadan Telethon 2024, taking place on Saturday, April 6th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. So stay tuned. This Ramadan, your support is needed more now than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by calling 1-800-432-4262. You can also use the Zelle app for easy payments by sending to info@soundvision.com or visit muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.